Rebellion is a studio that I continually go to for fun games. During the PS4 generation, it seemed like they would release a quality game every 1 to 2 years. They are best known for their Sniper Elite series. It has been great to experience each new entry within this franchise. Each new game improves on the last, with Sniper Elite 4 being pretty close to perfection for the formula. All of these games contain the signature X-ray camera, which provides a lot of satisfaction in the combat along with some humor. Sniper Elite 4 takes what the previous games have built on and adds a bigger playground along with even more options and refinements to it. When Rebellion isn't making new Sniper Elite games, they are developing co-op focused third-person shooters. Their Strange Brigade provides treasure hunting action with quality shooting, and their Zombie Army series is a nice spin-off of the Sniper Elite series, with Zombie Army 4 being pretty awesome. Many of these developers' games are underrated and could use more attention. Since I became a fan of them during the PS3 and PS4 generations, I wanted to dive into some of their older games and see if I could find any other gems. To my surprise, I found a game based off of Judge Dredd, and it turned out to be a very fun first-person shooter. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my review for Judge Dredd. Judge Dredd is a very linear first-person shooter with a good arsenal of weapons to use along with a decent variety of enemies to shoot. The shooting in Dredd feels good. The weapon sounds are decent, but what really sells the action are the impact to your shots. Heads can be easily shot off, and this never gets old. Along with this, many enemies will flop or even fly around after being killed. It is a bit silly to see, but it fits the game's tone very well. You have a nice selection of weapons to choose from. You will always have your Lawgiver pistol. This one weapon gives you many options in each of the levels. The gun can fire burst rounds, armor-piercing bullets, ricochet shots, incendiary rounds, explosive rounds, and heat seekers. Each of these different ammo types can aid you in different situations. The explosive rounds are great for clearing a crowd, while the incendiary is good to injure a few enemies and then move on to some others so that you can focus on them. A lot of this comes down to how you want to use this weapon, since this one gun provides you with a lot of options.
You're messing with the department's finest crew.
In addition to the Lawgiver are other secondary weapons that you can pick up. You will find an additional pistol, a laser pistol, a few different shotguns, a machine gun that can turn into a sniper, a light machine gun, a laser sniper rifle, and a very awesome grenade launcher. The pistol is decent to use since the range and accuracy is pretty good. The laser pistol has less range but good damage. The shotguns can instantly kill most enemies up close, but the range is very limited. The machine gun sniper rifle is one of my favorite weapons, as it gives you two nice options without switching weapons. The LMG is good against zombies, but not the best for vampires. The laser sniper rifle is good for distance combat, and the grenade launcher is pretty much great for everything and always fun to use. Over the course of the campaign, you will have a variety of different enemies to shoot. You have gun-wielding criminals, zombies, and vampires. The zombies are slow, while the vampires have more health and are more aggressive. The enemy variety does take a hit about halfway through the game, where there aren't really new enemies introduced to the player. I did appreciate how some things can be blown up with your explosives as well. The health system is similar to Halo 1. You have a shield that can take a few hits before it needs to recharge, and then you can hold up to 3 medkits to recover your health. The campaign features different linear levels. There are some extra spots that will provide you with more supplies if you look for them. The campaign is a nice mix of large levels mixed with closed-in environments. The mission objectives are typical stuff that you would see in a shooter, like helping NPCs, killing enemies, or flicking switches. The objectives are not that interesting, but the action keeps things solid the whole way through. What I did appreciate was how there's this campy tone that is found in the gameplay and in the cutscenes. In one level, I had to fight through a mall and I found a nightclub. I was fighting zombies in this level, and once I got to the nightclub, all the zombies were dancing to the music. The story is entertaining and pretty good. It mainly involves Dredd going to different locations to stop bad guys and save people. The narrative is not deep, but it is solid popcorn entertainment. What adds to the campaign is how the cutscenes maintain the campy tone and shows off how badass Dredd is.
judges, zombies, vampires. We're doomed.
It's Dredd.
Throw down your weapon. You're under arrest.
I really like when video games are not afraid to be a bit silly. The campaign here maintains the right level of campiness so that the game has silly moments but never turns into a joke. During each of the levels you will have a law meter that you need to monitor. Essentially, this goes up when you complete objectives or arrest people. It will go down if you kill surrendering enemies or innocent people. If you go too low, then you will fail the mission and other judges will come in to take you out. This is pretty cool when it first happens, but outside of this feels like a tacked-on mechanic that is very underdeveloped. Many of the missions will feature side objectives that you can complete. At the end of each mission, you are scored and you earn new missions to play in the arcade mode along with multiplayer skins. The campaign is a brisk experience that will only take a few hours to complete, and it's highly entertaining. While the campaign is short and sweet, I did encounter some flaws with the game. Like I said, I do like the idea of the law meter, but the game never really uses it in an interesting way. It is something that you need to monitor, but outside of that, it is interesting but a tacked-on feature. I did have one instance where a judge was on fire and never died. This was hilarious to watch. The AI in this game is very dumb. Many of the melee enemies will sometimes just stand there waiting for you to engage them. There is some jankiness to the presentation, especially when you see enemies sliding across the ground and not running. The game can be pretty challenging even on easy, and the levels could use just a few more medkits to pick up since it doesn't take too many hits before you die. This just needs more balancing to it. Outside of this, the campaign did maintain a consistent level of fun for the duration of it. In addition, there are other modes to enjoy as well. The arcade mode features additional levels for you to complete. The missions range from fighting a small army of tiny robots, taking out all the enemies in an area, avoiding enemies for a period of time, or horde-like levels. Then there's the multiplayer portion of the game. It was really nice to see that bots were included so that you could still enjoy the multiplayer today. There's different variations of deathmatch modes along with a few others. You can change different match settings like turning the map into a mirror map, one-shot kills, score and time limits, along with other options. A lot of this is expected stuff for the multiplayer with bots, and Dredd delivered a good amount of options here. The multiplayer doesn't really have any secret sauce to it, but the action is still pretty fun. And before I forget, you can play the entire campaign in co-op if you want as well. Dredd may have a short and sweet campaign, but the arcade levels, and especially the multiplayer, help to flesh out and round out this package. Lastly, Dredd's soundtrack is one of the best parts about the presentation. There are many memorable tracks here as you are shooting your enemies. Here are a few tracks from the game. Dredd is an underrated first-person shooter. It does have its fair share of flaws, but it delivers a very fun and entertaining experience. The campaign is short and sweet with solid action. The campaign doesn't waste any of your time with any filler. All of your time will be spent shooting enemies. And the shooting is satisfying. The impact from the exploding heads and ragdolling bodies makes it enjoyable and adds to the campy tone. After beating the campaign, you have a few arcade missions to go through along with the fun multiplayer that has a good amount of options and bots. Dredd turned out to be what I expected from Rebellion, a quality fun game that is worth experiencing. If you are a fan of the source material or you're just looking for a fun first-person shooter, then I would highly recommend you check this one out. Thank you very much for watching.